Hey guys, before the video starts, I wanted to let you know we're going to be hosting an art competition and giveaway in the Discord once we hit 400 members. Come check it out. Many of us feel lonely from time to time. Feelings of loneliness are personal, so everyone's experience will be different. Some people describe loneliness as a feeling we have when our need for social contact and relationships isn't met. But loneliness isn't the same as being alone. You may feel content without much contact with other people, but others may find this a lonely experience. Some people may only feel lonely at certain times, but some people may experience chronic loneliness. This is a deep feeling of loneliness that goes on for a long time. You may be around others and still feel like you're alone. Some people might think that you need to live alone to feel lonely, or that being lonely means not having many friends or family around you. But you can have lots of social contact and support and still feel lonely, especially if you don't feel understood or cared for by the people around you. One thing I've learned is the difference between feeling alone and feeling lonely, and how you can feel lonely in a crowd full of people. Bachira Maguru perfectly embodies the feeling of loneliness in Blue Lock. Bachira as a kid was someone who enjoyed football. He had fun with it and always wanted to spend his time playing it all day. He even had his friends he played with and was constantly enjoying himself. But Bachira's personality was not very accepted, as many called him names and said he was weird for only having soccer in his head. Bachira has always felt this loneliness, and he always wanted just one person he could play soccer with. His mother eventually tells him about a monster that lives in his heart, a voice that will always be there for him. Bachira eventually becomes friends with his monster and starts to play soccer with him. Everyone around him starts to notice how he has an invisible friend. I think Bachira could very well have a symptom of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a disorder that affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly. The exact cause of schizophrenia isn't known, but a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain chemistry and structure may play a role. Schizophrenia is characterized by thoughts or experiences that seem out of touch with reality, disorganized speech or behavior, and decreased participation in daily activities. Difficulty with concentration and memory may also be present. These usually involve seeing or hearing things that don't exist. Yet for the person with schizophrenia, they have the full force and impact of a normal experience. Hallucinations can be in any of the senses, but hearing voices is the most common hallucination. This is the same case for Bachira and his monster. His mom tells him about the monster, but he's able to visualize and see one for himself. He's also able to communicate and play with them. People with schizophrenia can also be extremely disorganized or have abnormal motor behavior. This may show in a number of ways, from childlike silliness to unpredictable agitation. Behavior isn't focused on a goal, so it's hard to do tasks. Behavior can include resistance to instructions, inappropriate or bizarre posture, a complete lack of response, or useless and excessive movement. Bachira has felt the loneliness in his heart, and in his mind he was able to come up with a friend that would be there for him. He enjoys football and has fun playing it, and wants to meet someone else who can also understand this fun from the bottom of their heart. Bachira notices how no one else can see the monster, and he thinks it is a real person causing his hallucinations to further increase while playing. Everyone stopped believing in the fun of soccer, but he still continued to believe in it and continue playing. Bachira has an abnormal playstyle with flashy dance and passes, and his coach even tells him if he stopped then, he would be good enough to go pro. He starts to doubt himself and says that he is scared. What if no one in the world starts to understand him? He is slowly losing himself and the loneliness starts to get to him. All he ever wanted was to have fun playing football and find a friend who also understood that fun. He starts to question his personality. Maybe he's too weird to have a friend. He's not even sure himself. These are the inner moments of Bachira that makes him question his individuality. He thinks about having to play football alone forever and does not want that to happen. These are the inner depths of Bachira that start to crack inside his mind. He starts to feel so lonely that he could die. Loneliness is hard to overcome, and it really starts with yourself. Bachira needs a reminder of his uniqueness and to be accepted by it no matter what. But to first be accepted by people, you need to be able to accept yourself. Bachira is starting to think that his weirdness is what makes him so lonely, but he just had to keep that passion and fun for football alive. Soon after that, Bachira gets an invite to join Blue Lock. Upon entering Blue Lock, Bachira was afraid that there wouldn't be anyone who could understand him. He would once again have to go back to the days by himself where he felt so lonely that he could die. He no longer wants to be alone anymore. He will continue searching for a friend and will have his monster with him until he does find a friend. For so long he kept searching, wondering if he could find someone, and then a moment hit him. The friend that he had been searching for. If there was a monster, he'd be there, and it was none other than Asagi Yoichi. Bachira could feel his monster telling him to pass to Asagi. He's a monster, and so Bachira now believes in Asagi as well. Since then, Asagi has understood football just like Bachira, and he could feel the same joy in playing just like he could. Asagi now became the monster for Bachira instead of his imaginary monster. Rin then tells Bachira that he plays a soccer that is looking for someone. A soccer that is afraid of fighting alone, and this is completely right. Bachira has always needed someone to be there for him. First it was his monster, and then Asagi. After losing Asagi in the second selection, Bachira now needed to rely on another monster, and he felt that monster was Rin. But Rin is a different kind of monster, a monster that he cannot understand. As Bachira faces Asagi again in the second selection, he notices how amazing Rin and Asagi are. They are two monsters on the field, and Bachira is always testing them to see if there's anyone else who loved football like he did. But as Asagi and Rin were facing off, they were so far ahead that they did not see Bachira anymore. Bachira once again started to feel the loneliness. He no longer exists in this world of two monsters facing each other. He was testing them, but this whole time he was being tested instead. He does not know what he is to Asagi and Rin, but to him, those two are monsters. He starts to question what his true motives are. He knows with his current ego, he will not be able to catch up to those two, so he questions just what is his ego. He is out of options and does not know what to do, so he leans to his monster for help. In an attempt of desperation, he does whatever it takes to win, because he does not want to be alone once again. He was now the lone boy who had been left behind. Bachira does not want to go back to the days of being alone anymore. He thinks back to a conversation with his mom where she tells him that eventually, people become unable to hear their own voice because they stop believing. He now comes to full realization that he has been playing soccer to be wanted by someone. He thinks back to his old self before he needed to be wanted by anyone. His purpose isn't to just avoid being left behind. He's been seeking someone else's voice instead of his. He now needs to listen to his own voice and believe in himself. His original voice is now telling him to win and steal back Asagi. He no longer wants to rely on anyone and thanks his monster for their time spent together. He was never alone as he had his monster, and now he was able to come to Blue Lock and make friends. His monster became a curse and was limiting his own original thoughts. Playing soccer with the monster was the purpose of his life. And then he met Asagi, and Asagi took the monster's place as Bachira's monster. Asagi literally became his sole reason for existing now. He needed to break that curse and become someone who can play football by themselves again. He needs to devour himself and remember his original ego that he always had. He remembers the feeling he once had back when nothing else mattered except becoming one with the ball and just having fun. He accepts being alone and no longer needing to rely on anyone. He thanks Asagi and says goodbye to his monster as he has become someone new now. He decides to fully dance by himself. Loneliness ate Bachira inside as he programmed his mind to always rely on someone as a kid. With sheer will and a powerful ego, he was able to break free from this curse and truly become free. How many of us are feeling lonely right now? What are the steps we were taking to get away from this curse? We have to think back in our past when we were kids and what fun we had, things that made us who we were and brought out the best in us. We have to be able to dance by ourselves and not worry about outside influences. Friends are great and can be very essential, but loving yourself and enjoying your own company is the greatest gift to you. No one knows you better than you know you, and that is why you will figure out how to overcome the depths of loneliness. Well, I thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back in the next one. Peace.